For most people, Friday is just a day before the weekend. But after this Friday, the neighborhood will never be the same.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty with Jake Gutierrez. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. It is Friday, March 1st, baby. February is over.
Happy birthday!
So, there you go. On to a new month. We'll talk to Stan Weber in studio. We'll have our Border Patrol Fast Break with Gabe DeArmond, Jay Heydrich, and Greg Gurley. The last conversation we had with him was so good. Scott Sharp comes back on the show again days later to follow up on some of the things. I can't believe what he said last time, but we'll see what he has to say.
Can't miss it.
Assistant GM of the Kansas City Royals. Last time he was scheduled on the show, he had to. He was called into a meeting. Either that, or he realized what show he was booked for, and decided to take a step back and rethink things. But we'll try it again today at 8:35 with Scott Sharp, Assistant GM of the Kansas City Royals. And then Tim Grunhard on the telephone in the 9 o'clock hour. So there you go.
It'll be Grunny's last appearance for a while.
How long?
Probably till May, till draft time. He's taking April off.
We may not talk to him the next couple of months, huh?
That's not draft time. It'll be
No. March. All March he's taking off. Sorry, my bad.
So he'll be back before the draft?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
So say it'd be weird that he came on in May to talk about, hey.
May's not the draft. March. He's taking March off and then coming back right before the draft.
All right. He deserves it. That's fine. But it's funny, that game plan with Grunny over the years has changed because this used to be a downtime for NFL news and NFL talk. And let me tell you something, there ain't no downtime. It is it's just no downtime. And we go right, and plus because the season lasts so long for the Chiefs nowadays. I mean, with them going to the AFC Championship game every year at least, and then more times than not going to the Super Bowl and winning it, things last a lot longer. Well, I mean, hey, that's why they couldn't renovate the damn locker rooms over at the practice facility. They play too many games. The season lasts too long, and so that's what they were told. So the team was told. But I mean, here we are, waiting for any possible trades, dealing with the franchise tag, dealing with the NFL scouting combine, all kinds of interesting stuff with the NFL. So no lack of news there. Now we've got college basketball, big weekend, and I don't know, how big is it? I think I'm overplaying that now. It's a weekend of college basketball. I don't know if we're Well, I can tell you, like, Missouri fans don't look at it as a big weekend. I think I've seen a decrease in the interest, perhaps from Nate Bukaty and Jake Gutierrez. And I mean, you still watch it, but it hadn't been the same this year.
That's true.
You know,
True.
because Kansas is. I mean, how often we're not even talking about Kansas not winning? How often, like the last couple of weeks, they're just out of it?
Yeah, I don't really.
Can't recall.
Has that happened under Bill Self? When's the last time that's happened?
And I'm sure it has, but I don't remember it.
You're sure that it has, or it has, Nate? Where they've just been out of it.
I mean, like this is stupid, but the last time I vividly remember a team at Kansas not being in it, in terms of like the Big 12 race, was toward the end of the Roy Williams era, like 2000-ish. I think it was like the Ryan Robertson-led
Right.
team. They were like a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament.
See, but I asked you about Bill Self.
Yeah, and so I don't really remember. I should research that.
I mean, because they're 3 out with 3 to play.
Yeah,
So I guess
remember it. I don't
you'd have
remember
to.
it.
I mean, that would have to be a miracle of all miracles. Kansas would have to sweep, and that includes at Baylor, home against K-State, and at Houston.
Well, I mean, they won it every year from, 04 to 18?
Right.
yeah,
Uncharted territory.
I don't remember it.
I mean, but hey, there's still a hot race going on. We can't just ignore the race just because
Right.
Kansas isn't a part of it. Houston and Iowa State, it's a 2-team race. Houston's 12-3, Iowa State's 11-4, but then you got Kansas and Baylor knotted at 9-6, and then the 8-7 club featuring BYU, Texas Tech, and TCU. K-State's 7-8, and K-State, it's important because they're battling for their NCAA tournament lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Kansas is playing for seeding.
And they're playing for third place in the Big 12 because they're taking on Baylor. Like you said, they're tied with 9-6 records. So, and there's always been a little, I don't know, it's bad blood, but there's a little rivalry between KU and Baylor, right?
You can answer that before I can.
There's history there.
Is there? Do you
between
feel like
Self
there is?
and
Is
Drew.
rivalry? Sure.
It's not like at the level of, I don't know, who are K-State obviously, but who else is a big biggest rival for? I mean,
K-State.
yeah, but outside of that, I don't know if there's anybody else that the K fans probably get more fired up about in the Big 12 than Baylor.
Iowa State.
Going to Iowa State's always tough, of course. But anyways, tough game.
I would say KU Iowa State's a better rivalry
Yeah.
than Kansas and Baylor.
But
There's
like,
been some bad blood with,
yeah,
Drew taking his team out in the tunnel.
just little things like
you
that.
got boosters trying to fight Bill Self up in Ames in the past.
That's a good point.
You know.
That's a good point.
They're one of the top teams that you're always
Yeah.
looking to match up
Well,
with.
the games of note: Kansas at Baylor, as Nate calls the battle for third place.
Yes, sir.
He said it. I didn't. Iowa State. This is the game. This is a tricky game for them. They got to play at UCF, so they got to win that game obviously to keep pace with Houston. And Houston, and you legitimately could have a tie on Monday because Houston plays at Oklahoma. I think Houston's going to win at Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's good enough to where if they play their best game, and Houston's different on the road than they are at home, that wouldn't be the biggest shock. You got a line on that game yet, Jake? Houston at Oklahoma. It's a 7 o'clock game on Saturday night. UCF has been they've got some upsets at home. Well, hell, they beat Kansas, didn't they?
Yeah. Of course, this year a lot of people beating Kansas on their home floor, but
They just beat Texas Tech 75-61
that's
home.
not nothing.
The last two games they won at home against Texas Tech 75-61, and they won at Oklahoma State 77-71. So I mean that's they beat Texas Tech, Oklahoma by 11, and Kansas. They won all those games at home.
Yeah.
So that's no sure thing, right?
That's right.
So Iowa State's got to take care of business there. And then Houston and Oklahoma. K-State has to win at Cincinnati. That's an intriguing game. They got to win.
Right.
Got to have it. Because you look at K-State's remaining schedule. At Cincinnati. And then at Kansas. And home against Iowa State. Ooh.
Yeah, those are tough.
Better win at Cincinnati.
Although if McCullough doesn't play, that Kansas game, I feel is in play.
At Allen Fieldhouse?
Sure. They lost to BYU at home. They could. Why couldn't they lose to K-State?
Don't skin your knee.
Jumping off that bandwagon?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. You didn't need me to say it. You know. You feel it.
I'm just saying. I mean, isn't that like if they could lose to BYU at home without McCullough, they're a different team. They don't have a replacement for him.
Yeah. Sure, anything could happen. You going to that game?
Oh no.
Have you gone to any Kansas games this year? I know your schedule is packed, but
I went to the one at T-Mobile.
okay, yeah, there you go.
I haven't been to the field house, I don't believe.
So there's some intriguing matchups. There's a lot left on the table to play for. So we'll see. Any preference on who wins the conference since Kansas can't? Would you rather see Houston win it or Iowa State?
Oh,
Or a
man, that's a
tie?
good question.
Houston.
No, why? I mean, I was curious why. Is it
I'd just
because you like Kelvin Sampson and you like Houston, or because you don't like Iowa
Because
State
I don't like Iowa State.
and you'd rather not have them as champs? Okay.
I think there's a
that's-
little bit of both. I do like Kelvin Sampson. I mean, but
There's
it's
nothing wrong
more
with being
about Iowa
petty if you
State
don't want
not
them to
getting
win
it.
it. If you don't want them to win it, that's fine. That's totally acceptable.
But it's both. But mostly because I don't want Iowa State to win it.
Okay. You don't want Houston to come in here in their first year.
Yeah,
and
that's
say,
kind of
"You
where
know
I'm
what?
at. I don't know if I want
don't
somebody
mind.
to come into the
you
conference.
thought your conference
yeah.
is good. Let's just come in here. We'll just win it the first year.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You don't. That doesn't bother you at all.
No.
Okay.
I
All
don't.
right.
I think I kind of pull for Iowa State on that front.
So why does that? Why would that?
I don't know. It's I don't really care. The truth is I like Kelvin Sampson a lot. I think Iowa State's a great program that deserves to win titles.
Coach Champs would be nice.
Yeah, there you go.
I think a little Coach Champs.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a trophy. But I like Kelvin Sampson. I don't have anything against him. Not a big fan of the city of Houston in general.
We have to get that deep into it. But that's fine.
I'm with you
But
on that. It's
it's
just too big.
It's just a big concrete jungle.
It's too big.
Yeah. And what is it? Like, where's, it just,
It's mammoth.
yeah, that's what it is. It's just a big oil town. A lot of money, not a lot of,
Like, we have a loop, 435 goes around the city.
it's got like 4 of them.
Yeah, that go around the city.
They just like keep expanding out,
yeah,
right?
it's
There are like
crazy.
4 different areas that seem like downtown. You're
Yeah.
not really sure. It's just a weird town. But that has nothing to do with the basketball team, I guess. I like Kelvin Sampson. It wouldn't bother me if he won, although I kind of feel like I don't want somebody to come from a smaller quote unquote conference, just walk right in and cruise through the league their first year. That seems a little. It should be harder than that.
Well, I think they're gonna.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't think they're cruising through it though. I mean,
It's been pretty amazing how consistent they've been and some of the big wins they've gotten. How many losses they have in the league?
25-3, 12-3 in the league.
I mean,
I
that's,
feel if they're cruising, they'd already have it locked up.
Well, I mean, they might after
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
I just said, I painted a scenario where it could be a tie. What if Iowa State stumbles at UCF and Houston wins at Oklahoma? Then they've got a 2-game lead over everyone.
Yep.
Suppose that would be cruising.
And just think if Kansas were to lose at Baylor and Houston wins, they'd have a 4-game lead over Kansas. Who would have thought that with 2 left? So I think that's as much as you could possibly cruise.
Yeah. I mean, 12-3 your first year in the Big 12 is pretty damn good. And I don't see a loss. Right. I mean,
Here's 2 things I'll say about this. Number one, they're going to show up anyway, but can you imagine what the turnout and what the vibe will be if Iowa State rolls in here as Big 12 champs.
Oh, they're going to take over
my
Kansas City.
God.
You know that.
Jake's already
Now Jake's really
sour about that. But seriously, because they show up anyway when they're good.
Yeah.
But if they roll in here as Big 12 champs,
they're going to strut in.
good night.
Hey, look, I show them respect because I'm rooting
You
against them.
better make
I
sure
dislike
that
them
there's
because they're good and
enough
they have
beer,
great fans.
enough beer to sell because they will buy it all.
Don't leave any property down in the
Well,
P&L at night.
Yeah.
Another story. So then here's the question that I'm looking forward to being
Some
answered.
Rough experiences with Iowa State fans at Johnny's
Yes.
back in my drinking days.
What if Houston comes in here as the clear, Big 12 champs? I wonder what kind of support they're going to get.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Houston fans will travel like. I have
Right?
no idea.
Because it's not just, an ordinary year. There's excitement. There has to be excitement because it's their first year in the Big 12. It's their first year to play up in Kansas City in the best atmosphere for the best conference tournament in the nation, right? Mm-hmm. And so even before the season, and you're going to be good, you know what? Let's make plans to go up to Kansas City because you see it on TV. You see that's a great atmosphere. Let's go up. That's a worthwhile trip. Let's go up there and support our team in the tournament. Then as the season goes on, you see, we're the number one team in the nation. We got a chance to we're gonna get a number one seed, and we might win the Big 12 championship outright. How many people are going to say at that point, if we're ever going to go up to Kansas City, first year in the Big 12, and we're top dogs in the nation, let's go. But I just don't. I'm too unfamiliar with their fan base and their support and how they travel. I'm very curious to see what they bring to Kansas City, because if there was ever a time you were going to hit the road and go support your team in Kansas City, wouldn't this be it? The newness of it, because it's your first chance to play in this tournament, and then you come in not only as the number one seed in the tournament, but possibly the number one seed in the nation.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you were in college or wouldn't you you were known to get in an RV and hit the road to support your team? Or Jake or whatever, wouldn't you think
Plus, it might be around spring break.
we're going, see you later?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only downside of the Big 12 tournament being here is that usually the turnout from the old Big 12 South schools never really is great, right? You don't get huge crowds from any of the teams, down from Oklahoma and Texas.
The guy with the sweet beard from Baylor.
The one Baylor guy.
The mustache.
So maybe Houston would be a team that would really travel. I don't know. We'll see. That'd be nice. I mean, it's fun having fans from all the other schools in town. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be great.
Easy to get. I mean, easy flights from Houston to Kansas City. Southwest has direct flights every day. Easy to get up here.
So does United. I used
There
to
you
fly down there directly.
So it's good. So that wouldn't be a problem.
Easy flight.
Yeah, Houston's one of those towns. There's a lot of flights in and out. 2 airports.
I used to have to fly through there regularly to fly somewhere else.
Right.
What about is that drive unreasonable? Is that not doable?
It's a long drive because Houston's way down there. Dallas is North Texas. Houston's, they call it East Texas, but it's Southeast. It's way down there. So add a couple hours on that drive.
Like 11 and a half.
11 hours. Nothing. Dude, me and my boys, not my friends, not my sons, but me, was my junior year? I can't remember what year it was. We drove to Padre Island.
Yeah, baby. You did.
Just stopping for gas, and that's
Yeah.
stopping for gas and food.
Padre.
We were in the car for 24 hours.
Kids
Driving
still go to
to
Padre
Padre
Island? That used to be a
know.
big deal.
South Padre.
It was great.
Yeah.
And that was right in the,
Like MTV at South Padre
it was like, I
Island.
can't remember, it was either 94, 95. MTV was down there.
Yeah, absolutely they were.
MTV was down there.
Yeah, spring break.
I was a
Spring Break '94, Padre Island.
I was a. I got picked to be a.
Were you up on stage?
Yeah. Thinking. Do you say it? Yeah. I mean, I can't control what I did.
No,
it's the past. It's history.
Right. You can't shut the door on it.
I was selected to be a trainer for a bikini boxing match.
Yeah, there you go.
Oil, kind of, and it was like, I wanted, it was like, this could be my John Candy and Stripes moment.
Oh boy,
but it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I was there.
Yeah.
I gave good instruction.
That's all you can do.
My fighter won. I could tell you that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you know why? I mean, honestly, you know why? Because she used the jab.
Yeah,
I said, you win this fight with a jab. This girl has no idea how to fight.
Lead
this
with the jab.
I said, you know what? You don't have to. Forget you have a right arm. We're just gonna win this with a jab. That's it.
Keep that by the chin. Just keep that by the chin.
And let me tell you this: the excitement fueled us and carried us through that trip down there. One of the worst experiences in my life was the trip back.
Oh,
sunburn, broke, beaten, battered, just terrible.
Hangover.
Just one of the worst drive. That's the worst drive I've ever had in my life. Driving back, like down there, we're going to spring break.
The
We're
excitement.
going to spring break. We're going. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
This is gonna be driving back. Kill me now. So yeah, 11 hours. College student, you know.
yeah. It's like
Full of
it's the reverse spring break trip.
Yeah.
Instead of driving down there, you drive up
Right.
here. Have some
Handle
fun
that.
in Kansas City. I don't know.
Have a lot of
I'll
fun.
be very interested to see what kind of crowd they bring.
If they're ever going to bring a crowd to this deal, it's this is the year.
Their spring break starts Monday, March
There
11th.
you go.
That's Houston's spring break.
There it is. Because I just can't imagine UCF, BYU, or Cincinnati packing the stands.
You don't think so?
Like maybe Cincy in a year if they were having a great year, but they're you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
like no. UCF would be a little bit of a different travel.
Yeah.
And like for BYU, there's just too much damn caffeine in this town. They're not,
Caffeine and booze
Yeah.
all over town.
right.
Can't handle it. BYU travels well, man. They
they?
traveled really well to the KU football game.
Did they?
Yeah, they had a good section there, and I think some of that is first year in the league. New places to go. Well, they picked. I guess their alumni association picked Kansas as the road game. Like this is the game we're going to go to. Got their asses kicked, you know. But
That's different though. Like going like
picking one football
yeah,
game. But for basketball, maybe they go, hey, let's make
Yeah.
our road trip to Big 12 tournament. They got a good team,
that'd be good.
so that'd be
Yeah, I would say it would be Houston 1, and then BYU 2, and then Cincy. I think normally would be a good
Right.
crowd, but they're not a tournament team. And then UCF might end up being like the guy from Baylor.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, I'm here.
One guy dressed up as a
Yeah.
knight over there.
You'll be on stage like, who do we have here from UCF? It's like, I'm up here.
My hotel, when I've been down in Orlando the last couple times for MLS games, is right on the campus of UCF. So I walked around campus the
How
other
is
day
it?
a little bit.
You like that?
It's a big campus, the big school, and there's it seems like every building has something to do with Walt Disney World. Like the Disney, like the culinary school is. You can go to UCF. It appears like there's a big sign on one of the buildings right by my hotel.
Oh boy.
That says like the Disney Culinary School. So if
Yeah.
you want to go learn how to cook, the kind of be a kind of food they cook at the Disney properties or whatever. I guess
I have no idea what kind of food they cook.
they
there.
got all kinds of fancy restaurants at all those places. So you can study that if you go to Central
I've
Florida.
avoided the peer pressure of visiting any of the Disney properties
Yeah.
in my life as a parent. The only time I went was when
Oh,
I was
God.
like 12, and my dad took me and my mom to L.A. and took us to Hollywood, and we
Yeah.
I think we went to Disneyland for like 45 minutes. Steve St. John Sr. was not having it. the hell are we doing here? You know, just
Yeah.
So yeah, I have not.
We haven't taken our kids to any of the ones in Orlando. We were on a work trip in L.A. We took our kids to Disneyland one time. It was fun. I liked it. Get in your pockets, tell you that much.
Yeah, I got the pocket block on that. We will. Dad, can we go to Disneyland? No, we're going to the Cotton Bowl instead. Let's
Cotton
go.
Bowl.
We will take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I don't know. The survey of the population, I bet there are way more Texas fans and Texas A&M fans and maybe LSU fans who live in Houston and really support their teams, not just casual. I mean, really are excited about their team than there are Houston fans in their own city. So, and this basketball team's been good. This is not the first year, the big pop. You know, hey, I can't believe we're number one in the country. Can't believe we're competing for a top 10 type basketball team. That's been part of Houston basketball. I mean, Kelvin Sampson's done a great job there year after year after year. So I don't expect them to follow their team in big numbers. I don't see the excitement around Houston athletics that's anything near what we're used to.
Right.
Compared to our standards. Now, you mentioned a lot of reasons why, whatever the number is, how many people, 300, 100, 2,000, whatever the number is, it should be doubled or tripled because of the reasons you said, compared to what their normal group is.
Right.
But I just don't, I'm not optimistic about Houston fans. Just like when Baylor was really good, they didn't really bring that many people up to Kansas City. And you'd think that they'd be very excited because they understand the history. When they were competing with Kansas head-to-head, toe-to-toe, you'd think they'd even be more excited. Houston can naively think, well, we're good at basketball. We're always a top 10 team recently, so why wouldn't we be there again? And they don't really understand the Kansas blue cloud that hangs over the basketball conference. And I think that's one of the things. Conference realignment, changing subjects slightly, conference realignment is most interesting to me because the reputation, the intimidation that you bring to your conference foes, well-earned, doesn't affect the new guys at all. They just walk right through it, and they're immune to it. The fog, BYU walks in and goes, hey, why can't we win here? Remember when Nebraska football, I remember you just walk into the stadium, in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're like, we're going to lose. All the fans knew it. All the players knew it. It's like something bad's going to happen today because those are the Huskers over there. And when they went to the Big Ten, Northwestern walks in the first year and just beats them. Remember Texas, what they did to Southwest Conference teams. Oh, the big bad Longhorns are here. And everywhere they traveled, it's kind of the same thing I said about Houston. There were as many Texas fans in their town as there were their own fans at times. And so you have your home game, and here's Texas, big roar to bad Longhorns around. And when K-State started playing against Texas and the Big 12 teams, we said, oh, no big deal. Let's just beat them. So I think there was a little bit of that this week with BYU, not knowing the difference that, hey, you're supposed to lose to Kansas, and you're supposed to, when Pope got that technical, like that was the final touch. You're up by, what was Kansas up by 2 or 3, had a foul going to the free throw line, and now they give you a soft technical. Allen Fieldhouse, you lose, bye-bye. Every other team in the Big 12 would have said, here we go again. All of our guys are fouled out. We have tons of fouls. There's no way we're going to overcome this. And what did BYU do? Just played right on through. Won the game. So maybe there's an attitude with Houston that they don't actually understand what they're doing right now. To pass Kansas up in this conference just does not happen, and Houston's making it look easy.
All right, let's move on to football because we got a lot of stuff to talk about with you, Stan. And the number one, we have not talked about this on the show because it happened, just came out yesterday. But this is one of those stories that I saw as soon as I saw it. Well, I want to talk to Stan about this. This would have me very excited because let me tell you something. My experience of watching the Super Bowl with one of my dear friends, Anthony, I thought he was going to lose his mind multiple times because of bad spots the Chiefs were given. When it appeared they picked up a first down and it appeared that the officials gave him a bad spot and no one was mentioning it or challenging it, and we were going crazy. And Anthony kept looking at us, what the hell's going on? What's happening? They just cheated us out of a first down, and no one's saying anything. The announce crew's not saying nothing. There's no replay. What's happening? And so I read you this story from SI.com. The clock might be ticking on the chain gang's time on NFL sidelines. The league tested optical tracking for line-to-gain rulings at MetLife Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, and at the Super Bowl this season, according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. If implemented, it could take over the measuring duties from the league's iconic chain gang. Pelissero also reported the NFL is vetting other technology to aid officiating, including high-res cameras on the goal line, sideline, and end line, and a SkeleTrack system to track the footballs, players, and officials. The technology is not expected to be ready for the 2024 season, and it would require a vote among NFL owners to be adapted into the rule book. Man, do this yesterday. I'm just talking about simply to get the spot correct, because it's just half the time it seems like it's just a guess. It's just guesswork. That drives me crazy. It was driving me crazy in the postseason. It seems that, especially in the Super Bowl. Stan, I don't know what you think, but I would love to see this happen.
Well, the technology will be awesome, but I think you're focused in on the second piece of the technology. The first piece is just to say we don't have to bring the sticks out. We know where the first down is, but I don't think that changes the marking. If you read through the first part, it just says that they'll know with the technology, as soon as you set the ball down, they'll go, that's a first down. You don't need to measure. You don't need to do anything else. But that doesn't mean that is the knee down or not. The official still decides that until they get the technology to show knee down, where is the front of the football. Because I've heard for many, many years they're thinking about putting something in the football to track. But hopefully they don't have to do that. Hopefully there's just a way that they can see it otherwise rather than put things in the football, because that would be a little weird if that, when you're trying to spin a football and there's something, how is it stuck in there? Is it glued on? Does it change the weight of the football? I don't know. I'm sure the technology won't matter. But, yeah, that'll all be good to be more precise and quick, right? The quickness of it. Right now, what I don't like, and I will tell you this, technology you're talking about will fix this, and especially in the college game. A guy falls down, and they just point. You see the official give the old finger in his chest like no one can see it on TV. It's a first down. And I'm going, dude, you're looking inward. The chains are behind you. How can you say that's a first down? They just say anything close. It's like arena football. Anything close called a first down. And now they won't have to do that. If the ball's down and it's an inch short, we won't have the official going, hey, give him a first down. And that's a little pet peeve of mine. But all the spotting's very important, because it's amazing that 3 downs or 4 downs and 10 yards ends up being so close at the end. Just like baseball, how did they ever figure out exactly how long it took to pitch, catcher throw the ball to second base, a guy stealing, and it all comes in with a millisecond difference to make it fun, right, on a stolen base attempt. And in football, those 10 yards are so hard to gain. So I think this technology will speed things up, make it more accurate. I'd be all for it. And it won't change the game. It won't significantly change the game. I don't like these rules that, cut out 10 plays of the game. That's the rules I don't want to see. So I think this would be great.
Nate, Jake, any opinions on this?
Total no-brainer. I mean, it's they have the technology to do it. And I don't know what kind of device that you put on the ball to track it or not. Maybe it's just a sticker or something like that that allows the satellite. But, I mean, when we look at all these sports now, there's satellite or whatever, not satellite, but there's data tracking on every single player. I mean, we have to study that when I do these MLS games now. They have these advanced statistics that can tell you exactly how many miles each guy ran,
GPS.
what his map is, everything that they've got cameras positioned all over the stadium that track all these things. And these stat companies are doing it just for stats now. So if you can do it for stats, you ought to do it for what actually affects the game. And there's no, for example, and they don't use it in Major League Soccer, but in other parts of the world, they have goal line technologies, the same type of thing. It can just tell you automatically, did the entire ball cross the goal line or not, because that's the difference between whether it's a goal or not. And trying to find a perfect camera angle is difficult for that. But so that the referee just looks at his watch and it tells him, yeah, the ball crossed the line, or no, it didn't. And then he can say, yes, it was a goal. There's no sport where the placement of the ball matters more than in football. The whole point of the game is how far you got is where you get to claim your territory. I mean, that's what matters. And so, yes, 100%, it should not come down to a ref. If you have the technology, it should never come down to a ref eyeballing it and deciding, yeah, it looks like he was down right
They
here.
don't even do that. That's my problem. They just go,
and then
guy gets tackled, and they go,
Right.
yeah, give him the first down. Like,
Right.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Set the ball down first.
Well, then, I mean, like what we're talking about, too, in that game, the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, there are multiple times where the ball just gets spotted, and now you're stuck with do I challenge this? and hope that the replay has a good enough angle that'll show us that we did get 6 inches further, and so we should have a first down? Or do we take our chances that we can get 3rd and 6, so let's just go ahead and not worry about losing one of our timeouts? Those are things that you shouldn't have to worry about if there's technology that instantaneously and more accurately can tell you how far you got with the ball. And like you said, they're going to probably have to come up with a way where, and it might take a little review, or was his knee down? Where was the ball when his knee was down? But I'm sure they can figure that part
They'll
out.
figure that out, but they have to have that because that's still either replay accuracy with technology or a call, subjective call by the official. Someone's got to say, when did the knee hit? Because a lot of times the officials are correct.
Stopped.
That's the one that it's
A
so
little more
hard to say
nebulous.
because that used to be a big part of the rule. Now they kind of just slough past that. So I'm not sure, but they say you can't review. If I called forward progress on you
It's a
and then you
judgment call,
fumbled,
right?
it can't be reviewed.
Yeah.
So they don't go that way. I'll say this, Stephen, as the technology picks up, you know what the next thing's going to be with that technology.
What's that?
And it's a relevant thing to the NFL and to the Chiefs, especially this year. They're going to know if the offensive linemen are lined up legally. See, the offensive lineman's helmet, even the tackle, all the way out there to the tackle, or a tight end who's on the line, his helmet is supposed to cross the top of the pants of the center. So the center's bent over. So that's about 3/4 the way back on his body before he gets to his butt. Your head should be up, touching his belt line, where the white jersey touches the red jersey touches the white pants. Everybody should be there. In NFL, they have instead of a straight line, they have to do a lot of V'ing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? If
Yeah.
you fly back, and usually it's like the guard kind of barely touches the top of his helmet, and then the tackle says, "Well, relative to the guard, I'm not too far back, right?" And they could clean that up, where they say, and you know what happens when that happens, Stephen? We get a little bit more pass rush, because one thing that's the holding rules that are allowed, the grabbing that's allowed, the big guys, the way they pass block, learn it as little kids, learn how to pass block, and that they start off the ball and get their angles. That edge rusher's angle is much wider because the tackle's lined up back off the ball as far as he can possibly be, and usually illegally. Okay? If he has to line up more in a straight line, and those fast defensive ends come around the corner, guess what? The pass rush will be a bigger part of football, and it'll affect the passing game, because the NFL right now doesn't really want that. They want the passing game to flourish. They want it to flourish. But in the old days, if you go back and look at the sack numbers, now it was not an official stat, but the amount of times that guys got back and got to the quarterback were immensely higher, because the guys had to keep their hands inside and do little chicken wings and try to block a guy going past you while he could hit you in the head. Literally.
Yeah.
They would hit you in the head while you couldn't reach your arms out at all. They went around them pretty fast. So think about that technology, Stephen. They're going to have the wide receivers, the tight ends, everyone's going to be lined up legally, and you will not even have to think about it. A computer just goes beep, 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 and someone throws a flag out. They'll probably have some computerization where some robot or something actually throws the flag out there.
Keep Kadarius Toney on sides.
Exactly.
You know?
And maybe they'll give you a little warning, like
a little thing in your helmet that tells you. Yep.
yeah, just like scoot back, scoot
And
back,
then he
back.
can look down and step back.
Step
say,
back.
I'm good. No? Because that's what he kept telling you in the interview. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, just making sure. Stan, you remember that interview?
Yes.
Top 10 interview in WBC history is what it's been called.
Top
I don't
10?
call it, yeah. Maybe top 5, says Jake.
Is that like the football follies, like really the bottom 10? Or is it
I don't
really
know.
a top 10? The top 10 or the bottom 10?
The reaction we got from it might be top 10 good. I don't know. It might be both.
As you try to get ready for this game.
I'm good.
See? Then he can know he's good. We'll take a
That
break.
was his longest sentence, wasn't it?
It was 2 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back after this on WHB. So there was a good article at The Athletic by Diana Rossini and Nate Taylor.
I like Diana.
She's good. About Chris Jones. This was put out yesterday. And it starts with a description of what's going on down in Indianapolis in the corners of downtown bars and the lobbies of several hotels and even the negotiations behind closed doors. Most of the conversations at the NFL Combine surrounding Chiefs pass rusher Chris Jones have reached an understandable unanimous sentiment. One league source said earlier this week he deserves to get paid. Another league source said, I would give him a ton. A third NFL source said he should get a massive deal from the Chiefs. The race to retain Jones began this week. The Chiefs hope to do just that before 11 a.m. Central on March 11th, when agents of unrestricted free agents can enter contract negotiations with any interested team. Brett Veach has acknowledged this week that re-signing Jones is the team's top priority. And here's the key part of this. By Thursday afternoon, when several members of the organization flew home to Kansas City, there was growing optimism, according to league sources, that the Chiefs will agree to a new contract with Jones before free agency. Similar to this time last year, Jones wants a contract that will pay him an average annual salary of $30 million, which would make him the league's third highest paid defensive player behind Nick Bosa and Aaron Donald. He had 10.5 sacks and 29 quarterback hits last year. And we all know what he did in the postseason, what he did in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs will likely have to offer a contract that's more lucrative than what Pittsburgh gave T.J. Watt in 2021, which was 4 years, $112 million, with $80 million guaranteed for Jones to agree to continue his career with the franchise that made him a second-round pick in 2016. Veach has already made two moves that increase the Chiefs' odds of retaining Jones in the wake of the news that the NFL salary cap for 2024 will be set at $255.4 million. That's an unprecedented $30.6 million increase for each franchise. They released MVS, which created $12 million in cap space with just $2 million in dead money. And then they are also expected to place for the franchise tag on L'Jarius Sneed before the 3 p.m. Central deadline on March 5th. And they have given him permission to seek a trade, which is similar to what they did in 2019 when the Chiefs placed the franchise tag on Dee Ford and then traded him to the Niners for a second-round pick. If the Chiefs enter into advanced trade discussions for Sneed, they would seek at least a second-round pick. Since Tuesday, 6 teams have shown interest in acquiring Sneed, according to a league source. So there's a lot just there to unpack. She also says that the Chiefs could create more salary cap space by converting a sizable amount of the roster bonus and quarterback Patrick Mahomes' contract into a signing bonus, and the same could also be done with Joe Thuney's contract. What do you think about what's happening right now, Stan?
Makes all the sense in the world that Chris Jones is on his way to being signed as the Kansas City Chief. It's just a matter of finding the right amount of money. And, you need to give him a lot, and they will. But that doesn't mean he doesn't give them a hometown discount by maybe structuring his contract in a way that's helpful to the Chiefs like Patrick Mahomes did, or maybe $1 million or $2 million less a year. So it sounds like giant dollars, but it could be a little bit higher. I think probably the thing you want to do on the joking side is to have him over at Patrick Mahomes' house, have him spend like 3 or 4 or 5 hours there, drink a lot, and then have him come over and he'd say, I want to be a Kansas City Chief!
That's right.
That's how you get deals done,
And then whatever Veach says will work. I've been optimistic that he sees the value in being a Kansas City Chief, and the Chiefs see the value there. And the way this, they had to pick with 2 guys. There was a lot of pressure on could they keep one, both. But with Snead's situation playing out the way it is, it makes it more simple because if Snead gets traded, then the salary cap hit of him being a franchise player goes away. Because a franchise player, all the money that you're going to pay him, that guaranteed amount of money for 1 year, is counted against the salary cap. You don't get any allocation over future years. When you sign a contract, you can always decide how much you want to be bonus and then that bonus amount gets divided by the number of years of the contract, and that's all that it counts against the salary cap. That's why Patrick Mahomes can get paid $30 million on April 15th or whatever a day might be, and you could call it, here's a salary cap hit at $30 million this year, or you could say, let's do something with years on your contract, change it to a bonus, and now we get it allocated over time. Patrick Mahomes' contract, the first thing I saw when it was signed, I go, this sets the Chiefs up for his whole career. He can continually help the team and doesn't have to give up any money. He doesn't have to, oh, he's so nice to help the Chiefs. Well, all you got to do is accept money up front, call it a bonus, and you're really not being hurt at all. So it is a win-win deal. Can they get some of that in Chris Jones's contract? A little bit of that love back and forth? Probably so. So I think he'll get signed.
All right, we'll talk more about what's going on, and Stan, I want to get your thoughts on possibly tagging and trading L'Jarius Sneed, because that looks like what's going to happen next. We'll take a break, though. Back after this with more from Stan Weber on Sports Radio 810 WHB.